Each of us, living in this life, finds our greatest happiness in experiencing inner peace every day. Peace is something everyone needs, and reciting Buddha's name and paying homage to Buddha daily helps bring peace to our hearts. Those of you who recite Buddha's name will have a very clear feeling that when you recite Buddha's name and pay homage to Buddha every day, your heart becomes peaceful, and your appearance also improves. As the Buddha said, appearance is born from the mind. A good appearance comes from a peaceful mind. Conversely, a person who lives with an anxious mind every day will see their good appearance turn bad, their abundant blessings diminish, and their health deteriorate, all due to an anxious mind. A peaceful mind comes from believing in cause and effect. Because we believe that when misfortune comes, it cannot be stopped, and when blessings come, they cannot be stopped either. No one can prevent another person's blessings from coming, and no one can prevent their misfortune from coming when it's due. Therefore, blessings and misfortunes are sown by ourselves. Misfortune comes naturally, and no one bestows blessings or misfortunes upon us. We create our own reality. Understanding this principle, we naturally live our days in great peace. And this Buddha's name is wonderful. We can't fully explain it, which is why it's said that only Buddhas can fully understand the Pure Land Dharma method and the recitation of Amitabha Buddha's name. Naturally, when you recite Buddha's name and pay homage to Buddha, inner peace arises. This cannot be explained. Many people ask why reciting Buddha's name brings peace. We can't explain it because only Buddhas can fully understand it. Naturally, after reciting Buddha's name and paying homage to Buddha for a long time, you will experience peace. If you are anxious or worried about something, reciting Buddha's name and paying homage to Buddha will naturally reduce your anxiety. It's very strange. That's why it's said that remembering the Buddha brings joy, and forgetting the Buddha brings suffering. If a person constantly recites the Buddha's name while walking, standing, sitting, and lying down, and regularly worships the Buddha, then naturally, a sense of peace and joy will arise. However, if a person rushes into worldly life, their mind will naturally become increasingly anxious and restless. Life itself affects us, you see. Life in this realm affects us, making us fearful and anxious. Even small matters are magnified, causing us to worry and fear things that haven't happened yet or things that have already passed. But the name of Amitabha Buddha helps us to naturally understand that misfortune and blessings will come when they come. Today, we live in the present moment. If we live mindfully today, then tomorrow will be mindful, and the day after will be mindful. Perhaps misfortune will only come a month later. But from now until then, if we have lived mindfully, then the heavy misfortune will become light, and the light misfortune will disappear completely. However, if a person worries from now until a month later about impending misfortune, then truly, a light misfortune will become heavy, and a heavy misfortune will become even heavier. Because every day, our minds are filled with anxiety and fear, so even a small consequence becomes a large one. Because our blessings are fragile, we will suffer the full consequences of misfortune. Therefore, every day, we should cultivate the recitation of Amitabha Buddha's name to nourish our virtuous roots. Naturally, our virtuous roots and karmic connections will become stronger and stronger, and our blessings will increase day by day. Therefore, we will live our days in peace. Peace is the greatest happiness in life. Remember this carefully. Peace is the greatest happiness in life. Because there are people who are incredibly wealthy, yet they have never experienced peace. Finding peace is very difficult for them. Therefore, in this world, finding peace is very difficult. So why do people sometimes seek refuge in the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha? Because when they enter a place dedicated to the three jewels, they feel immense peace and tranquility. They think that these places are free from suffering and distress. That's why they go there and feel a sense of peace. That's why people often go to temples and pray. Because it's a spiritual aspect, dear friends. Therefore, having a shrine to the three jewels in your home is also a spiritual aspect of your family. And daily, personally reciting Buddha's name and bowing to the Buddha nourishes the spiritual aspect of your inner self, making it grow stronger day by day. A person whose inner spiritual life is nurtured will experience less and less sorrow and suffering in life. But a person whose inner spiritual life is not nurtured will suffer greatly. All the suffering in this life will come to them. It will also cause anxiety and fear. It will make you afraid of things that you don't really need to be afraid of. So in this life, sometimes what seems like misfortune can be a blessing if you still recite the Buddha's name. But a person who doesn't know how to recite the Buddha's name or practice Buddhism, even in a moment of good fortune, will soon face misfortune. You know, there are people who are very poor, but their families live happily. But suddenly, they win the lottery and become rich. Everyone is happy for them, thinking they are blessed to win the lottery. But unexpectedly, after winning the lottery, the husband becomes addicted to gambling and other vices, while the wife becomes extravagant, buying cars for the children, who then start racing and partying. You see, in that moment of good fortune, misfortune is just around the corner. In the past, when families had enough to eat and spend, there weren't many things that could go wrong, so even though they seemed poor, they had the blessing of peace. Therefore, from that perspective, blessing and misfortune are intertwined. If one knows how to practice virtue even amidst misfortune, then blessing is right beside it. If we understand this, we will know contentment. People who know contentment in life are usually happy. As for good deeds and beautiful things that come to us, we do them if we can, and if we can't, then so be it. Every day, nurture your virtuous roots by remembering and reciting the Buddha's name. Knowing how to recite and venerate the Buddha means you are nurturing your virtuous roots. Because human beings live in this world, death is not the end. Death is followed by rebirth. Therefore, nurturing virtuous roots is extremely intelligent. Because we are born into this life, and we also have to consider where we will go after we die. Such a person is very intelligent. Why? Because we learn about Buddhism, because we accept the Buddha's teachings. If we don't accept the Buddha's teachings, then we only know how to live in this world, in this life, and we forget that when we suddenly depart, where will we go? This is a blindness that causes people anxiety and confusion when facing the consequences of their karma. But if we nurture our virtuous roots every day, if we cultivate the path to liberation, then we have already considered in advance that where there is birth, there must be death. Understanding this principle means you are nurturing your wisdom every day. If you sit and think carefully about this, it is truly the happiness of your life. This is a very great happiness in your life, honestly, if you sit and think carefully about it. People just let what they hear and what they do pass by without sitting down to think and reflect. Life is very impermanent. You know, people film scenes where people are walking, and then suddenly they spin around and fall, hitting the wall. Some people are sitting and eating, and then suddenly they tilt and fall. This means that in this world, things are very impermanent. Our death in this realm comes to us very unexpectedly. There are people who are sitting here healthy, but suddenly they go for a medical checkup, and the doctor says they have cancer in its advanced stages. This means that many things happen to us that we never expect. We would never imagine that these things would happen to us. And there are wives, husbands, and children beside us, whom we trust and love immensely. We never expect to suddenly hear that our husband has another wife and children outside, or that he's involved in all sorts of things outside. Or a wife we trust completely, and suddenly we hear that she has another man outside, doing those things. This means that people are completely stuck in a dead end. Because the people they trust and love are supposed to be completely loyal and devoted to them. But when things happen like that, people can't bear it. Therefore, thanks to Buddhist teachings, we have a different perspective. Because this world is impermanent in every aspect. And karma means that whatever we sow, we reap. Understanding this principle, all the things that happen to us, whether favorable or unfavorable, will land gently. We won't make too big a deal out of success or suffer too much from failure. Because success and failure in this life are all illusions. No matter how successful you are, no matter how much you fail, in the end, the most important thing in your life is your death. So what is success or failure then? What remains of your life is what you thought, what you created during your life, and ultimately, where did you go? This is the crucial point for human beings. Why did Prince Siddhartha decide to pursue spiritual practice? Because Prince Siddhartha saw birth, old age, sickness, and death. Ultimately, humans must die, so he asked himself, if humans come into this world, creating great achievements and successes, where do they go after death? This is an extremely important question for all of us who are deluded. A very important question. Humans achieve success in life, cultivating so much love and affection, but where do we go after we die? That is an extremely important question. Therefore, in Zen Buddhism, people ask themselves, where did I come from? Where will I go after death? Where is this soul? Where does this soul go after death? People constantly ask themselves this question until they attain enlightenment. They realize that this soul has no form. This soul is a combination of causes and conditions, and when these causes and conditions dissolve, the soul has no form. So now, people are choosing a place to go. We are also like those who ask these questions, and every day we are reciting Buddha's name to choose a place to go, a place for our soul to go. What is that place? The Pure Land. We are cultivating this place every day, dear friends. This is a very important place for human life. Humans may dedicate all their time to their careers, but ultimately, their careers do not solve the problem of birth and death. Consider the decades of hardship and struggle, creating so much karma, hoping to achieve success in a career. When that career is achieved, they look back and realize that they are already old. So what is the ultimate meaning of that success? What is it, dear friends? Sometimes, because of this pursuit of wealth and luxury, we suffer daily and create negative karma because of it. We still eat 3 meals a day and sleep in one bed, yet we endure immense hardship and suffering for it, but there is no benefit that we can take with us. All the money, possessions, houses, and land, we have to leave behind in this life, but in our lives, we have created it, and we have created so much negative karma to carry with us, so many sinful deeds. But we don't do good deeds. We don't do good deeds. You know, there are people who are incredibly wealthy. The good deeds they create, what are they for? For worldly achievements. Do you find that pitiful? Their good deeds, which they should be taking with them, are actually done for worldly achievements. Not to create good karma to take with them. You, who have encountered the Buddhist teachings, what are you doing? You are using worldly merit to create worldly achievements that you can take with you. But if someone doesn't know how to practice the Dharma, they use all their good deeds to create worldly achievements for themselves. And in the end, with one last breath, they can't take anything with them. So, in the end, we feel happy. Happy because our lives have a path to liberation. We are happy because in this life we realize that there is coming together and separation, birth and death. In the end, We all have to die. We can't take anything from this life with us. Therefore, an intelligent person is someone who understands this, and creates what they can take with them, and cultivates a prepared mind. When impermanence comes to us unexpectedly, we will turn towards the Western Pure Land. This is the place of immense peace that we are thinking of in our lives. Even though we haven't reached the Western Pure Land yet, we have already attained peace, dear friends. Those who chant Buddha's name have already enjoyed peace. In all circumstances, you only need to chant Buddha's name, and you will have a place of refuge and peace. This is happiness, dear friends. This is the happiness of humankind, so those who chant Buddha's name are the noblest of humankind. A person who chants Buddha's name is like a white lotus flower among humankind. This means that those who chant Buddha's name are not bound by the 5 desires and 6 defilements. They are the white lotus flower of humankind. Those who chant Buddha's name and are heading towards the Western Pure Land are the highest among humankind. Therefore, dear friends, even if we are poor, ugly, uneducated, and lack worldly achievements, we are creating a transcendental achievement and choosing an incredibly special destination. Consider how many years people study, waiting to get into a company or factory, wanting to settle in a country with good conditions, a good boss, high salary, and good benefits. That's what they all think. That shows they have intelligence. But unexpectedly, your thinking is even more incredible. Beyond the imagination of ordinary people, you are choosing a place to go to the Pure Land. This, boss, is even more special, leading to complete enlightenment and Buddhahood. We will no longer be bound by the cycle of birth, death, and suffering. Consider how ordinary people could think of this. When they hear these things, they think it's fiction, superstition, or something like that, but I believe 100% that it's not superstition. You study to choose a company or factory to work for a high salary. But what about a person who cultivates virtue every day to strive towards a virtuous and benevolent land, a land of morality? This is not something to be taken lightly. This is something extremely true in this life. Therefore, you may live in this life amidst much suffering, but you do not suffer. Why? Because you have a destination and a place to go. We are here, building the place we are going to, a very special place. We will certainly reach this place because we are heading towards it. We are nurturing our wisdom and life force to reach that place. We must have wisdom, we must have intelligence, to be able to aspire to the Western Pure Land. If this wisdom and life force do not develop well, how can we have the intelligence to recognize that the place we are going to is the Western Pure Land? Therefore, I have often said these past few days that only boundless wisdom can receive the Western Pure Land. If you don't have this boundless wisdom, how can you see the Western Pure Land and aspire to it? And how can you see this impermanent world and let go of it? This world is impermanent, you see. Husbands and wives, children, all come together impermanently. That happiness often reverses itself. As children grow older, parents grow older. Remember that day, somewhere, when the husband and wife were young and had a child. By their side, how happy they were. A family felt so joyful, but as the child grows older, the parents grow older. Strangely, gradually this warm family atmosphere disappears because either the father or the mother will pass away, and then the mother will live sadly without the father, and the children will grow up and have their own families. Where is the happy family of yesteryear? Look at how much happiness a family has, and in the end, where does it all go? Then, the parents grow old, and their children get married and have their own children, their grandchildren, and they have to take care of them. The rest of their lives are spent living like this, only to die in sorrow, pain, and separation from loved ones. Do you see? Without the teachings of Buddhism to explain it, how can we overcome the bonds of suffering in this life? Only through the Buddha's teachings can we gain a perspective on this impermanent world, this world of coming together and falling apart. Otherwise, how much suffering would there be from separation from loved ones? Do you see? How many people, when a family member dies, cry and wail in extreme sorrow because of the separation from their loved one? Therefore, in Buddhism, there is a saying, separation is suffering, the suffering of separation from those we love and cherish. There is no suffering greater than this suffering. Therefore, when we recite the Buddha's name every day, we are reciting the boundless enlightenment, reciting the inner wisdom so that we are not bound by suffering. So, you must have this perspective, and you will find happiness while living in this world every day. May you all be peaceful and happy. Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha. We will meet again in the Pure Land, everyone. Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha. M.